All right. What's up, Mr. Hargrove? Just wanted to make sure it was cool with you if I recorded this interview with you.
Yeah, works for me, man.
Perfect. I'm Kyler Parker. I'm a sports media major at MTSU, and purpose of this interview really is just to kind of see what it is like, a little insight into the background of working in sports, and kind of all the technical things that go on behind the scenes. Like I said, I'm gonna record this just so I can go back and listen. It shouldn't take about 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, if you feel uncomfortable at any time, any of the questions I asked, you don't have to answer. It's just completely up to you. But first things first, we'll go back to, where everything began. What made you want to pursue a career in sports?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, and sorry again for my voice. I know that um, allergies and stuff, man, they're crazy at this time. But it all started back when I was a kid. I grew up, I was playing sports all the time, played football, basketball, any kind of ball you threw at me. I was trying to play sports and I was trying to run around and do everything. So my love for the atmosphere, the game, kind of transitioned. Well, not really transitioned, but it started when I was a kid.
Mhm.
So as I grew up and I went into high school, um, I really loved football and basketball. So that's what I pursued.
Right.
And I got thinking, I was like, okay, it's time to think about college.
Mhm.
What career would I want to go into? Um, and I was thinking about it. I was like, well, how can I take my love for sports and apply it to a career that I can work on throughout college, ultimately end up in an industry that I already love. And that's how I kind of got started in sports. I got really lucky, and had a good opportunity presented to me fairly early on, and I took it. I ran with it. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's kind of what ended up getting me there.
So you talked about getting that opportunity, and speaking of, getting you there. So what are some of the things that you had to do in order to get in the position that you had?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I did was just um, being being open to conversation. As a little freshman, I think I was still 17 years old at the time. I came in and I talked to, just anybody and everybody that I could at my preview day or my orientation. And luckily, I ended up meeting a um, Chelsea Floyd at our orientation, and I talked with her a little bit, and she said that they were taking internship applications.
Mhm.
So I got I filled it out, everything, and I just kept in constant communication with them. Luckily, in high school, I had been preparing. I was very in tune with graphic design,
Right.
and so I would send them some of my previous work that I'd worked on as kind of a portfolio, and just to show them that I was really serious about the position, and that I really wanted to do something like this. So, being prepared is one. I think being prepared and having that, having those 2 years of experience of doing some graphic design kind of set me apart from everybody else, and kind of made me an interesting candidate to get on the team there. And ultimately, just being open to talk with them. A lot of people will say that as long as you can have a good conversation and you can be willing to work, you're a great fit for the sports industry.
Mm. So tell me a little bit about what your favorite memory is or has been so far working in sports.
Oh man, I mean, there's countless. I will say, I think as far as favorite memory for me is that so I worked for MTSU men's basketball, but from my freshman year of high school or freshman year of college, sorry, up until 2022.
Mhm.
So when I did that, the MTSU men's team ended up winning the Conference USA regular season championship against Western Kentucky, which is our big arch rival,
Right.
inside the Murphy Center. And there was an electric crowd. The atmosphere was off the charts.
Mhm.
The game went very smooth from an operational standpoint. We had a lot of moving pieces and a lot of people doing different jobs. So it all ended up, I think, but after the game was over, we were able to breathe and take that moment in, because the pageantry of sports is not found many other places.
Mhm.
And um, I think just taking, just sitting back and all the work that we had put in, seeing it pay off, seeing our fans happy, seeing our administration happy, seeing, the players happy. I think that was my favorite memory, is that, I could pat myself on the back and say I contributed, to the success of this team. And,
Right.
and as anybody on our staff would say that as well.
Mhm. So did you have any challenges that you kind of faced in, trying to get that position? Or maybe if you did, what was the most difficult one that you had?
Yeah. I think the biggest adjustment and biggest challenge that I faced was, I at first did not understand the time commitment
Mhm.
that people in sports go through. It's an interesting industry where, some nights you might be there till, at a game till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then you're right back in the office for an event at 6 a.m. the next morning.
Mhm.
You're working 40, 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week, going to different events and working different games and things like that. So I think that was a challenging thing for me, is prioritizing my time, especially as I was an intern, starting out,
Right.
because I had school and everything. I was a full time student. And so I really had to make sure that my time was prioritized correctly. That way that I could go in, get that experience, but also have enough time to do my classwork on the back end.
Right. So what is one thing you think that you did best that kind of helped you overcome that challenge?
Um, I think for me was just being open and honest to conversation, going to my directors, going to my assistant ADs, just telling them, there's I won't say, it's never always easy.
Right.
Some days you go in there and you've had a long week, and, you might be struggling. And I just went to them and I said, hey, like, I'm really struggling today. I'm here, I'm ready to work, but ultimately it's, today might not be my best day. And they were completely okay with that,
Yeah.
because they had been in the industry and they know how taxing and, how long it takes to get adjusted to, those kind of changes with your
Right.
time, and everything else going on too.
So if you were speaking to somebody who was trying to get into a similar position, what steps do you think they should take in order to do so?
It's a great question. First and foremost, I think, find what you love to do, and find what area you're really interested in, and completely buy in.
Mhm.
Because if you don't buy in, you're gonna go in and you're gonna say, okay, well, I'll go here and I'll do this. But if you put your best foot forward and you go 100%, you never know the opportunities that are going to be on the other side of that.
Right.
Hard work and time in this industry are invaluable. They are so many people who get into the industry, and it just takes one chance, and they take that opportunity and they run with it.
Right.
That's what separates the good staff, or the good players, or even the great people, from the elite people,
Right.
uh, who are really, really good at their job and really good with our fans, our administration, our university. They, just completely buy in. And, like I said, you never know what will come out on the other side of it.
Sounds good. Well, that's all the questions I got. Is there any other information you have, maybe about uh, your time in athletics or some of the things that you're doing now that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So, um, I, I think for me, just kind of to wrap this up, I would like to say that, it is a rewarding industry. It is something that, you can really hang your hat on and say, I made a difference in the lives of my community, in the lives of my coworkers, my university, my administration.
Mhm.
It's not just where you go in, you clock in, clock out, you sit behind a computer desk, and, you somewhat talk to people sometimes. Like, this is you build lifelong friendships,
Right.
it's an industry where you can really make an impact on the people that you come into contact with every day. So, if you're ever thinking about an industry, you know, a position in this industry, I say go for it, but be ready to face some hardships, be ready to face some time where, you don't necessarily know what's going on, but that's okay because, everybody's always learning.
Right.
The industry is always ever evolving, especially with the NIL space now,
Mhm.
with changing administrations and conference realignments. And, you never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to walk into when you come into the office.
Right.
Um, but like I said, it's very rewarding. And, I would recommend it to anybody.
Awesome. That's all I got. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and do this with me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if I can ever be a help, let me know, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.